Oh, I'm going to use excerpts from a great author, John J. Miller, a sports author and writer. I call it the moment. That moment when the nervous energy and the butterflies, as we know, fill the stomach and turn into dragons as the two rivals face each other and line up in the torrential pouring rain. Mud everywhere, can't get your traction. The ball squirting like a pig or a fish madly trying to get released. But more importantly, you face another obstacle, the burly defenders as they try to stop you from the score. This activity, this rivalry goes on from east to west, from Yale to Harvard, from Texas versus Oklahoma, Minnesota versus Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, and as far west as California, Stanford. The year that I speak of, the time frame that I'm speaking of, 1881 through 1909. The president has a position about sports. The veterans, some for, some against. The Senate wants to have a panel discussion on the safety of football. The year, 1881 to 1909. That veteran we speak of, the great General Mosby, known as the Gray Ghost. His position, it's barbaric, get rid of it. The Senate, during the years 1908 through 1909, faced a dilemma as well. 31 deaths between 1908 and 1909. That president, his position, love it, love the game, makes you men, transforms people. I think I want to champion that. So, who more appropriate on a day like today, as we have TED Talks? Who am I speaking of? The great Theodore Teddy Roosevelt, our 26th president. Now, what would behoove President Roosevelt at that time to take such a position on sports? Why would he champion it? What was his reasoning behind that? Well, let's look at the man for a second. President Roosevelt, for those who don't know, was a sickly kid. He was very skinny. That's one of his nicknames, Skinny. He also was known as TD by his family. But more importantly, he was a severe asthmatic. And Teddy would have asthmatic attacks that took him almost to the brink of death. He had severe seizures. So constantly, his family would try to find solutions to calm the storm as they traveled the world. They had wealth, but they couldn't shake this condition. He still had his seizures, no matter where he went. And also because he was skinny, he was bullied. So through physical fitness and going out into the wilderness, that's what many of you know as it was near and dear to him, was the environment. He found a mental toughness that he developed, learning how to box, learning how to really take care of himself, learning how to hike. He loved to hike as he saw the world. He started becoming a champion for those who didn't have. I look at Teddy Roosevelt as what I call a blue-blood, blue-collar guy. He was the guy that filibustered to break up all the monopolies. And because of him being bullied, he always kept the focus on the little man and trying to be a champion. Many don't know he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, that he wrote many books. Okay? And he was a veteran. And he was a cowboy. Got in a lot of fights. That's another story as a cowboy. But with that, the bottom line, he believed, be that champion for people. Don't back up from a fight when you need to. And that time, he decided, let it be football. So moving forward, he became a champion. And then you need something else. He realized Put together a committee. Let's put together the innovators and the engineers to make a difference so we have a solution. And let me get out of their way. I'll say that again. Let me get out of their way. Let me provide funding for it and make sure I'm the cheerleader every time it's questioned. So who was that guy? Walter Camp. Innovator, engineer, and he could ball. Okay, he was a skinny guy. But in his day, he was known as an elusive player, and he triggered the game, and he was brilliant, and he was an innovation architect, and also at the same time, he believed, hey, well, let's change this thing up here. 30 on the field, I don't know about that. Nothing on your head, I don't know about that. Okay? Let's change these rules. So, as you see, as the architect, and many of you may know Walter Camp as the guy that he has one of the top awards that are given out today in America to one of the top players of the year. So you have the Walter Camp Award. That's how impactful he was. But let me let you know he wasn't perfect. So in that rivalry game, as he took over as coach of Stanford, and just like you have spring ball now, as they're preparing for the big game, you have thousands coming out. They're like, wow, what is this game? Football. And what does he do? You have 1,000 every day. So after about 2 weeks, they finally have this game. 15,000 people in the stands. I know I'm in Texas. That's probably just an average game to you. But 15,000 people in the stands. They get ready for the kickoff. They roll the drum. But they forgot one thing. They forgot the football. They didn't have a football. There was no football in the house. So they had to delay starting the game, Mr. Innovator, and they had to go take an hour delay to go find a football so they could play in front of the 15,000 people. Okay? So, with that being said, now you have that champion and you have that architect. So, quoting one cliche that we know of well, the Spaniard, English author and philosopher, George Santayana, and that's, if you don't pay attention to history, you're deemed to repeat it. Or in the words of Teddy, let's not lock down lip loyalty on what's going on in the past until we really look at the solution they used to fix it. So, where are we today? Near and dear? There we go. We're here in Mojo World. And spiraling into this time machine where we are today, what basically Teddy was saying is, okay, we had a champion, we had architects, we had engineers, we integrated the team, the game exists today. We fixed a lot of things. We didn't fix everything, but that doesn't mean it's done. So that tradition that we see today, where you have games played, where I'm welcome on Friday Night Lights, the home of Friday Night Lights, which is turned into Saturday day and Saturday night, college and youth, and then Sunday for pro. We have to first, before we address that question on how, we really have to look and say, once again, why? Why do we care about a game in America and the U.S. and the world so near and dear to us that we are ready to face the 4 men of the apocalypse head on? Alzheimer's, ALS, for example, CTE, and as we know, the concussion, onslaught, or dementia, which we all face, whether it's a warrior or a student athlete. So, with that, why do we face that? One, I look at us as an executive, as an athlete, as a dad, I look at us as knights. Why do I say knights? Because meritocracy is very important in our society. During that change in time, at 1881, meritocracy became the thing that moved America. Now, what does that mean? Your talent, your knowledge moved you. Your performance moved you through society, not your money or your position in life. So as that night, why do we fight so hard for it? Well, we're that one at the lowest part of that nobility chain to say, hey, I'm coming. We got to move up. So whether it's Joan of Arc, King Richard, or King Arthur, where we step over to take that sword out of that stone and place it up, we want to be the commanders of that wall and go up that wall. From king or queen, we want to rise to that level. Be masters. So many people use the gladiator as the example. No way. For those who know the history of Rome, a gladiator was a slave in many cases. A gladiator was deemed to perish 20% of the time and get wounded up and hacked up the other half of the time. And if you were still undefeated and you made it through that gauntlet, you had to have a ruler say, thumbs up, thumbs down. You might even won. Fight to the death. So I've been to Rome. In many cases, the animals, the people, the Christians, and everyone in there was supposed to go. And then you set up for the next week. So never compare yourself as an athlete to the gladiator. The gladiator typically was condemned. Now, so outside of meritocracy, you now have to move on to what other thing? Brotherhood, sisterhood. We use that word a lot. Basic word. I call it love. We got a deep love and affection for each other because of that single-minded mission. Now, you see back here, that's me, the skinny guy, 24. Yeah, you see I still look the same. Big hair, big shoulders, little waist. Yeah, right. You see, you see a lot of big waist, no hair, right? Amongst all my friends and teammates and comrades, okay? So you see my coach. All this is a part of that community that make us who we are. That's a love that can't be broken. You're on that common mission. We've said it before. It's a unifier. But with that also, as you see the one gentleman in the red, that moment for me was when I was 26, just like Teddy Roosevelt. If I didn't share that, Teddy lost his mother and his wife on Valentine's Day, 2 hours apart. Think about that. So here I'm at 26 in Florida, and I get a call basically saying, my dad has stroked. The hero, 47 years old. So what's the next thing you do? You hop on a plane. There's no cell, really, but you get on the phone as soon as you can, and you call all the brothers and you call my love of my life, my wife of 30 years. They all come down on top of Florida, actually in Maryland, and we gather up as we wait to see whether my dad's going to make it. Now, this is 26, so remember, this is not a stable point in life for most of us as far as what you're doing in your job, where you are. Well, cut a long story short, they took those 2 weeks. No one left my side. My dad didn't make it. We went through it together. They were there the whole time, did not leave me. We bought clothes for each other, and they stayed through the entire service to make sure that we made it. Now, as I was flying down here, the gentleman you see up in the red, another one of my brothers, Vaughn Mansfield, he faced the same situation as I was flying from Dallas to Midland. He said, Nick, we just lost her. So he lost my second mom, Loli, okay, just now. So when I leave here, I will hop on a plane and be by his side. So that's that love in that sense of community that you cannot buy. It's timeless. So let's move forward when you look at this community. So whether those names have been the Al Toons, the Vaughn Mansfields, the Willie Collins, the Earl Cornishes in my life, we now look at the Friday night phenomenon is what I call it. So whether it's Boobie Miles, whether it's Don Billingsley, whether it's Jay Hernandez, whether it's Brian Chavez, or whether it's Mike Winchell, or today, whether it's Preston Ellison, doesn't really matter. It's about the name. No, it's about the narrative. It's the story do we want to project into the future. It's not about our names. It's not about fame. It's about the narrative as a group. So when you see that picture, what does it mean in the Friday Night Lights experience to me? Friday Night Lights is about this family and community that was developed down here. Is it perfect? Of course not. We all have families. There's dysfunction. But it's your family. And you'll fight for it against anyone. It's your family. So we're that set of knights. You're part of that table. We're all together. So what has spawned from that phenomenon? Thank you, Friday Night Lights and Permians and the Permian Basin. You spiral forward. What do you see now? Signings are televised. You couldn't get a high school game except local. And it was a delayed broadcast. ESPN said, you must be kidding. Didn't make money. Now you look, because of that, opening the door, whatever method that was, book, movie, you saw a community that worked together for a common cause, to move the kids. That's all I saw in my trips here. It's about the kids. So now a signing is a ritual. It's on TV along with a local game that's televised nationally. Now, what has that spawned? You see a young lady up there, a Joan of Arc. That's China. That's one reason why you got to get moving. This young lady is a star in China where they are spending $732 billion to bring innovation to support youth sports in China. I'll say that again, $732 billion. I'm quite sure innovation is involved there. We know China. So, what does that mean? Moving forward, I don't know where our head is, but it's not in the right place. Okay? So why do I say that? So now we're going to deal with the how very quickly here. Just like with Darwin, you have your evolutionary line. Now, remember what we said. Football actually has been around before the Civil War. Look how many outfits we have up there. I'm saying the whole technology of equipment and uniform. We've got no revolutionary process going on here. Evolutionary, yes. But when you're at DEFCON 2 or 1 on the state of a sport, you have to become revolutionary and innovative. There is no time for incremental change. So you need architects and innovators to move that. Well, we have that. On the innovation and architecture side, you have a gentleman at Texas Tech working on a system, as you see up there, where you have a suspension system and the shoulder pad is related to the helmet. David Camarillo is at Stanford working on activity with the brain and redesigning the uniform. Boston University, also as well, all the architects are working hard. But as you move forward, do we have it on the champion side necessarily? Yes, we have some activity. You have CDC. You have the NFL. NFL made $14 billion this past year. The investment over the last 2 years is $100 million. They're still waiting to pay part of that bill. So really, let's look at Teddy, what he said. Do we have the champions lined up, and are we using business process engineering in addition to changing the uniform? Example, you go ahead and you give away the equipment and everything for free. You charge on the front end of $1 on the tickets and make sure the NFL pays for it or the college ticket pays for it. It is now time to think like that. Now, as I close, I'm going to go back to the spirit of pyramid coach, Coach Gary. And in his spirit, it was stated, We need to have clear eyes with a full heart to understand what's going on. And as that athlete, also as a knight, is football going to survive? Absolutely. Is football going to continue? Absolutely. But it's up to us sitting around that table that you saw to decide, is it going to be a game for knights or is it going to be a game for gladiators? Thank you.